We had two planes, two liaison planes. You'll see a picture of the front end of one of them, I guess, if you have these pictures. And we used those two planes. This was in the battalion. We had 3 firing batteries in the battalion. Each battery had 4 guns, as I said. So. And the battalion headquarters had a fire direction center. They'd coordinate the fire when we all were in the same problem. Many times we were off by ourselves doing our own thing in a battery. But so the 3 battery commanders would alternate flying with the plane, with the pilot, to adjust the artillery fire. Our planes are back here, the target's out there, and we're up here. Supposed to be behind our own line, but those pilots didn't understand that. They wanted to dive bomb these Japs and shoot at them out the window line. They're crazy. But we would adjust fire up there and coordinate it with our forward observer. If we had a forward observer, that would be an individual with a radio with the cavalry troop that we were supporting. So then we in the airplane would adjust the fire. Said, okay, give a coordinate to fire on. We'd take that round and move it and conduct the fire from the airplane. Now, if it ever got to be close support, like I had the tree burst, then they had to have you couldn't do that from the air because it was a little too close, you know. You had to turn that over to a guy on the ground. But you worked it all together. So I had hundreds of hours in a plane adjusting artillery fire. So I got an air medal, and the first thing I know, here comes another one. And I had flight pay too for a while there. A little extra money. Yeah.
Were you able to witness then your fire? Obviously you're directing fire and then they're shooting the guns. Were you able to witness the effect of those guns?
Oh yeah. Well, not close up. We never could see. I never saw a burst kill a person. But I could see the fire, of course, down there, you know, on a bunker or on troops, and I could see troops scattering, and I could see the fire landing. But I never saw a shell hit a person. Was that your question? Kind of.
Not really a person, but just targets. So
oh yeah. We'd have targets, but you see now this was the Philippines. We didn't have a whole lot of tanks. They didn't have any tanks. These were just This was jungle fighting. Jungle fighting. So you didn't really see much. You can see. You knew where you couldn't even see your troops most of the time, but you knew where they were, and you could see the bursts in that area, and you almost always had a guy on the ground. He'd tell you, you know, how he was doing down there. No, you couldn't see. Well, we didn't have bunkers. They didn't have bunkers. They didn't have tanks. They didn't have vehicles. They were just people down there, mostly with small arms. Every once in a while, we'd get an artillery piece to fire on, and there again, I don't ever remember seeing the artillery piece. You see where they are, and you know you get reports that you've knocked them out. But no, you couldn't see results much. No.
And then I would imagine just witnessing that fire coming down from the air. Is that sort of a surreal experience because you're sort of disconnected, but at the same time you're
That's right.
observing?
It is a little bit. Yes, it is a little bit. You think you're disconnected till the pilot goes flying low over there and starts shooting his pistol, shooting the Japs on the ground with his pistol. I said, we ain't supposed to be doing this. Let's get back up there. Where we supposed to? They were crazy. And like I say, their landing strips in the main were a little humpback clay road in between 2 mountains where the air, the wind, and boy, they'd come in. They were unbelievable pilots. They're something. They were sergeants at first. When they first went overseas, they were sergeants. Then they wasn't long after they promoted them to first lieutenants.
And was there any worry that, because obviously the Japanese, when you've got an artillery observer up above you, you want to get that out of the air. Was there any worry that they would call in fighter support?
We never saw it happen. It was a worry, but I don't think they would bother with us. Somehow, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't think I ever saw a Japanese airplane when I was in the air. I used to see them when I was on the ground. I remember when we first landed on Leyte, they had the Battle of Manila, huge naval battle. A lot of our aircraft carriers were sunk and damaged. We had landed and we had gone up on a hill overlooking Tacloban Harbor. And the Japanese had air control. We didn't have any air control. We looked down there, I didn't know what had happened, but we looked down there at this little short airstrip, this airstrip on like Tacloban. We hadn't been there, we'd only been there like, 2 or 3 weeks or that much. All of a sudden here come our Navy planes in, landing, and they land on that little short strip, go down to the end, nose over in the mud. Here come a tractor out, grab them, here the pilot get out and run. This one plane after the other. I said, man, something happened to the carriers out there. Well, they'd been sunk. That was the Battle of Leyte Gulf, which is big naval, and that's when Halsey took off and left Nimitz. I don't know whether you read about that or not, but they snookered Halsey and thinking he thought he was chasing the big boy, and he wasn't chasing Ghost. And then here come the Japanese Navy, huge Navy, and they could have swallowed Nimitz completely, but here was another story, but it's true. I mean, it's what because I read about that. I didn't know it was at the time. John McCain's grandfather was it his grandfather or his father? One of the two was a naval captain, and he had a carrier off to the side. So he heard all this business going on between Nimitz and Halsey, and he knew something was wrong. So he sent his little old planes up to go find out, see if he could help. Well, the Japanese armada, huge armada, saw those planes and they thought it was Halsey and some ships. They thought it was Halsey coming back. So they turned around and left. Just left. And nobody, and we were ashore. So Halsey was supporting us. Nimitz was supporting us, or somebody. And had the Japs not turned and run and won that battle, that's another saved my life. We'd never, because we were just a handful of us there on shore. Oh, but the story. So here these planes came down. So and our base section commandos, the guys down there, taking care of the quartermaster and all down there, bless their hearts, we need them. Were shooting at our planes, thinking they were Japs. So we got orders: don't anybody shoot at any plane under any circumstances at all. Don't shoot at anybody. Well, here we were up on top of this little hill. Well, the Japs found that out right quick. The Japanese found that out right quick. So that their approach to all the goodies down there at the harbor, they didn't bother us. We were just a few little guys up on top of a hill. They don't pay attention. They come right over. I could have hit them with a rock. Well, not really, but it feels like. You could see them coming over. They'd look out their window and grin, wave, They're on their way down to bomb, to kill somebody. So that was an experience.
So by the time the Japanese showed up, then no one fired at them? Or did you fire at them?
When they told us don't fire, no, we didn't fire at them. They just had there weren't many. Some of our planes got caught on and evidently ran them off, because that didn't last very long. Something ran them away. But for a while there, and then they'd go on down and strafe and shoot down in the harbor, whatever they wanted to hit. Nobody fired at them, because we had orders not to fire at any airplane. Because you can tell, you couldn't tell. We could tell that those were Japs up there, but we didn't have any way to shoot plane. We had rifles and things. We didn't have any. We had Tommy guns, submachine guns. We could have done some damage. But then what do? You shoot them and they're going to crash down there. Do probably more damage than they would if they were shooting. So anyhow, that didn't last long. Yeah.